So welcome everybody. Welcome to our STS webinar for this week. This is going to be a great call. We have the Honorable Charlie Slaven on our call today. This is our third time hosting or being hosted by Charlie. So many years experience in project management. We're going to go from the charter, which we covered very thoroughly, very well within STS on two previous webinars. If you missed those, definitely go back into our YouTube channel and check those out. But even if you haven't seen those, this is you can be caught up to speed very quickly. On this one, we're going to go from charter to scope. So Charlie, I'm sure he will give you the context of what a charter is and how you can apply this within STS or within your job, and moving into the all-important stage of the scope. So that being said, welcome everyone. My name is Ben Clayton. I am the Chief Engagement Officer with STS. My job with the team is to basically make sure that you're getting the value that you need from STS that you expect. So you know how to use the tool, you know how to onboard your team, you know how to get from idea to execution. So it's my pleasure to be able to help you with that. It's where I get my most joy, making sure that you get the value that you need out of our team, out of our tool. So what I'll do is share with you the board that we'll be using, and by that I mean this is the platform within STS. We created a board for this call, and so I'll drop a link in the chat. We'll put it in the notes in YouTube, so that if you need access to it, just drop me or Priya your email address, create an account within STS, and we'll make sure that you have access to it. But in the meantime, I will share my screen and I'll walk you through it. So, all right, so this is our board for today. You can see the title of the board itself. We are in a folder. This is our webinar folder. And for today, we have this particular board. So when you sign in and get your account, you'll have folders on your left with all your teams. For this particular folder is the webinar team. We'll make sure that all of you have access to it. And then once you get into this folder, you'll see the board, and just click on that. The link will take you directly to this. And this is our board for today. So this is our agenda within this frame. And so this list is our agenda, where we'll go through, I'll do some quick intros. I'll let other folks introduce themselves from the team. For instance, this is going to give us some background of STS and how we got here, and kind of our mission, like what is it that we're set out to do? What is it that drives us every day, and what this tool is designed to help you do? And then Priya will do a quick demo and just make sure that we can onboard everybody and how to use the tool and get up and running. And then Charlie will take us over for the majority of the call, really going through the charter to scope for project management. But you'll see there's a lot of applications to this that you'll pick up on. We have Q&A here as number 5, but really this is anytime. So we like this to be as interactive as possible. We don't want to talk at you. We want this to be interactive. So if you have any question, if you don't understand what we're talking about, or if you want to explore something, or you think of a use case that you think might be interesting, please let us know, because that would be a good time just to basically unmute yourself, raise your hands, or as you can see here, there's a list. You could drop your question right here. If you're not in a place where you can unmute yourself or come on camera, just put your questions here in this list. Just start typing and hit return, and you'll see there's a card here, which we can maneuver, move it, we can edit it. If you have a typo, you can go in there and fix it. So that's the one way to ask a question too. And then we'll talk about, at the end, we'll wrap and we'll go to what's coming up. And as you can see here too, there's a place here. This is a list for notes. So if you have any takeaways, thoughts, ideas, like all of you will have access to this. So this is a good way to use STS. So we use this all the time. We, being the STS team, and our clients use boards like this, configured however you like, however you run your meetings, to do exactly this: have an agenda, drop some questions, have some notes, and so you can go back and do some work in this board afterwards. And you even, as we'll show you, and we'll go into a little bit more detail here in a little bit, but you have your AI companion here. So this is our AI colleague. You can ask questions here, like from our agenda, or maybe there's some notes. If we have a lot of notes and we're trying to figure out what to do next, we can actually use our colleague here to say, can you summarize these notes for us, or help us determine what's our priority? What should we do next? That kind of thing. We'll show you some examples like that, but just to give you an idea that this is the colleague right here. And as you find it, I put the STS help assistant here. So this is the colleague where you can actually ask questions like, what is STS and how do I use it? And you'll see here, I preloaded these answers so you can see a little bit about what to do with STS and how to use it. So it's kind of like your, if you will, chatbot that you can use to ask questions about STS and what to do with the tool itself. And so since I'm here, I'll go ahead and show you that you can change that to other companions. So we have, like, if you don't have say maybe a chief AI officer, you can ask ours, or a chief HR officer, you can ask the chief HR officer here if you have questions about HR and you don't have somebody like that in your team. So this is a way that you can use different AI colleagues to help you do your work within STS. So before I hit you too much with a fire hose, let me take a break and go back to our agenda and give Priya, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us your role in your team? Thanks.
I'm going to keep mine short because I want to make sure we have give Charlie enough time. We've got a lot to cover. So I'm the CRO with Strategic Thinking Systems, and I do primarily the enterprise sales component. So working with small, medium businesses and enterprise. And just background wise, I have a PhD in industrial organizational psychology and information sciences and tech.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. And Francis, to you.
Thank you, Ben. I will also keep mine relatively short. I'm the CEO and founder of STS. I have a background in tech, but I've been thinking about, reading about, and exploring different ways of being more strategic in my own thinking in my team's approach to problems and various situations throughout my career. I have put on the webinar board three references that I from last week really that I find go to the heart of why I started STS. I started STS because I wanted for myself a way to structure my thought and to have more deeper and more meaningful interactions with AI. I had this idea before ChatGPT exploded in our collective top of mind, and I was very pleased to have already started that process. So before it appeared, the two pieces of information that I thought was interesting this week is there's actually an MIT research that has proven that over reliance on AI actually makes us dumber. And I have put reference one and reference two on the board. Reference two is the actual MIT paper, and reference one is a New York Times opinion paper on the same topic, referencing the same article. And in a nutshell, they've asked people to write essays by themselves. They ask people to write essays using Google search, and they ask people to write essays using AI. And they measured performance over multiple sessions, and both in terms of the quality of the content, in terms of how well the people could recall what they had written a few days later and understood what they had submitted. And also they did brain scan, and all measures prove that the people that relied on AI were the quote unquote dumber, like their brain was less active and they could recall less. So using AI has the potential of making us dumber. And interestingly, Google search was slightly better, and not doing any tool was even better. And the gist of it is that if you do a cognitive task without work, it there is convenience, but the cost of convenience is the the lack of critical thinking. So making you work with your ideas is actually a good thing for you and for the output that you're creating. The third reference, Fei Fei Li, which is has been referenced as the godmother of AI. As she did an interview, I put the link on also there, where she said that uh, uh, general artificial intelligence requires a spatial intelligence and embodiment. So basically, she says that in order to be intelligent, I need to have a model of what a chair is and the experience of having a body that I try to that I experience the process of putting that body into that chair, and that's required for intelligence. I beg to differ slightly. And what I found working on STS is that, yes, spatial information is important. But what I found is that I don't need we don't necessarily need a body for that. The simple fact of structuring your thoughts in an STS board actually makes the AI better at understanding what you want to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And we've had a couple of clients users that have given us that feedback in various ways. So in a nutshell, that's it.
Perfect. Great. Thanks, Francis. I love it when you bring this kind of information to us from basically from your research or from as we're learning as things develop. So thanks for bringing that so much. So I think what we'll do is that we're gonna Charlie, I'd love to hand it over to you if you don't mind.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'm
Let's
ready.
jump right into it, and then we could save our demo if we need at the end, just to give you the most amount of time. And I think too, also through this, everyone that's watching, if there's any questions, you can drop them in the place where I showed you on the board itself. But also think about your use cases for this. So we like to save some time so we can explore your use cases, what you're doing with STS right now, or how you'd like to apply it. If you need some help doing that, we'll help you. So Charlie, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you. Welcome. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see my STS board. It's called Scope WBS2.
We see it.
You can see it. All right. Great. So I'm going to bridge on Francis's comments. I didn't know what he was going to say, but I've got some bridging comments here. One, I use STS and AI as basically an expert assistant. It does not replace my knowledge and expertise in project management. As Ben indicated, we built the chartering document, which is part of initiation a few weeks ago, and it was a two-part. But I thought I would go ahead and share that chartering document. So I put it in my board as an attachment. Let's just say save it. That's fine. I didn't try it. Did it come up? I don't see it. Where did it go?
Right there, top right, Charlie.
Top right?
Oh, yeah, you've just downloaded it, so.
Next to your picture on the top right, there's a arrow down, blue.
Ah, there you go. We did the save yesterday, Priya, but I didn't actually download it and look at it. So yeah, that's all I did. All right, there you go, charter.
Right there.
Come on, launch. All right. Nope, that's not it. There it is. All right, so I'll show you how we did this in a few moments, but just as everybody on this call, if you've got some project management experience, you've been through PMBOK, the body of knowledge, it starts out with this initiation phase and the charter is the final document. So I built boards and frames and lists that had all these contents, and then Francis helped us map all those contents into this chartering document. So today we're going to focus on scope. But this is a brief explanation. I think we limited it to 50 characters or something, background, purpose, objectives, success criteria. If this isn't exactly what you use, that means that we just have other lists that would have to be put into your version, because you'll get access to this set of lists for a charter, and you can come up with your own customized version. but this is the one that I've been using, shall we say, more than 20 years. I've been at this game for a very long time. High level work breakdown structure. This is what we came up in chartering. As you see, it's still fairly short. I'm going to give you a detailed dive into that. Key stakeholders. I don't want to go through all this environmental, social impact, but there's just a lot of content that I put into my charters. What's the purpose of a charter? The charter is to reach agreement between the sponsor of the project and the project manager. What do you want me to accomplish? And if there's any guardrails, you got to establish them. And so project assurance, yeah, later on we'll deal with quality, with risks, with the models, reviews and approvals, communication plans, resources. All these elements are in my charter to basically make sure that if I'm the assigned project manager, I know what work I'm to do. And if I'm the sponsor, I know what work is going to be accomplished to help me meet my business objectives. That's the purpose of this chartering document. So with that, I'm going to go back into my board, which I'll presume I can navigate back to fairly quickly. There it is. So what I did between the previous version, I have this context. So AI needs context in order to have a useful conversation with you to provide you really good insights as to what you're trying to accomplish. So this project was all about, I need to say develop a new product development process. So I get the context, I get the background, and then the first thing I do is say, okay, what's the description of this? And here you say, oh, it aims to design and implement a structured, predictable, cost-effective product management process, not product management process for, and I just said, a Midwest industrial manufacturing, skilled labor. The initiative will optimize R&D, foster innovation, build agile org structures, and ensure. So you can kind of see this gives us a general framework, and it's in the description. So we move on to project scope. Well, in project scope, we say what's in and what's out. So in scope and out of scope. That gives you, how do you know that you're working on the right stuff? That's everything that's in scope. How do you make sure that you don't work on the things you're not supposed to be working on? That's the out of scope list. And so here it is. And we have considerations. The machine comes back and says, hey, you might want to think about these things. Now, notice in here that I've used an AI, and I've used we'll call it a persona, that most of mine are directed by the director of project planning. Project planning bees as the persona that I'm going to use. And most of the time, I'm going to use Chat GPT, but you'll see that once in a while, I'll use a different AI engine for a particular purpose. This is just Chat GPT for a while. So it's got project scope. And again, this, I'll call it a template. I know some people don't like the word template, but it's a template for project scope, work breakdown planning. And you can change it. You can change the context to your context so you get something useful out of this exercise. I've already built this. And as long as you go through and reinitiate the AI engines and the personas that you want and the lists that you want considered in this AI implementation, because it will have a list. Why don't I go ahead and share some of this with you? We're configuring this AI colleague. So at this point up front, it's basically background and context. That's it. So, and then down below, I said, oh, who do you want this to be a persona that's going to give me direction? And as you can see, I selected director of project planning, but there's a boatload of other personas here that you could pick to say, hey, I want the financials, I want the legal, I want the sales, I want operations as a persona to drive this interaction with my expert assistant that I've engaged in AI to help me out. So I said, well, this is all good. And therefore I can just, I think I can go back. Yep, there we go. I'll just resave it. I didn't change anything. But I've done that for each of my lists. And we go on to scope, background, what's the project objectives. And I've elaborated on these as opposed to putting limits on it in the charter. I'm limited by space. But now I want to get a deep dive into some of these other elements and success criteria. Hopefully, many of you have already done this kind of work in your projects. If not, maybe this is an education, I'll call it in Project 101, Project Management 101. These are some of the things you might want to consider in running your projects. So assumptions and constraints. We'll get to where I've added new value. Here under customer work breakdown structure and stakeholders, I start out with key deliverables. So again, the key deliverables list was before a little bit short. And now I said, well, don't limit it. Just say, what are all the deliverables that I need? Give me all my major deliverables. Because when I structure this in a project planning tool, those are probably going to either be phases or they're going to end up being major deliverables in there. And then I'll put everything underneath it. High level work breakdown structure and major milestones. What does that look like? So here's the one for my context and my background on my project. But again, if you change that context and the background bits of information, you're going to get one that's completely useful for you. And I'll just give this example, if I may, Priya. You and I started working on this, last summer and into the fall when we got introduced. And we went through a context of something I was working on that day. And within about 30 minutes, we were able to bring up pretty much a pro forma plan that I am sure that would have taken 3 or 4 people, expert project managers, 3 or 4 days to develop. She and I did this in about 30 minutes. So that's the productivity hit that you get. Now you'll see that I'm getting into some additional information, detailed work breakdown structure. That isn't something that I did for charter because I didn't need it. I just needed to get on the same playing field with my sponsor on all these other high level elements that you saw in that chartering document. And then I said, okay, well, start spilling out my details. And it said, well, you got initiation and charter, and you got to develop the project charter. Yep, we've done that. Identify, engage the stakeholders. Yep. Get the objectives and scope, flush those out. Get the approvals. Once you get the approvals, look at detailed requirements, internal requirements, all the various detailed elements. And I use the director of project management to do this one for me too. Again, the personas you pick in STS is completely up to you. Again, this is only an educated assistant that scans the world and say, hey, I see your context, but have you considered these things? So it brings all that into the project framework. I haven't gotten to this. These are going to be future sessions, but I went ahead and built these lists, detailed dependencies. This is going to have a big predictable piece on it. I haven't tried to formulate the agile piece because that's going to be another series of webinars that I'll do later after we get through predictive modeling, estimated durations, come up with the schedules, and detailed resources. These are all the necessary elements that we need in order to come up with the schedule. You got to know the dependencies, got to know how long each one is. I usually break it up into, I was talking about this with Priya yesterday. You have to come up with a structured decomposition of all these tasks so that you can say, okay, these roll up to this rolls up to this is how long, this is who's going to do it. And you got to know, can you do it in parallel? Can you do it in parallel, or do they have to be sequential, finish to start relationships? And then once I get to the agile, it's going to be in sprints. What can I do in each sprint? What's going to be in a release? That's usually 13 weeks. Is it going to be multiple releases to get this thing done? A lot of that agile language came out of the manifesto, the Agile Manifesto. that came after all the predictive work. So you'll see some of that language. And then I had some other bits and pieces in here, life cycle models and such. But what I wanted to spend a little bit more time on, let's just go back to the detailed work breakdown structure here. Assumptions, high level, here we go, detailed work breakdown structure. So let's go in there and look at what things I wanted it to consider. What I wanted this persona of a director or project planning to consider. That's the AI that I wanted. And I didn't change out this to one of the others. I didn't say use Claude or use something else. I just said, well, it's okay. Go to the default Chat GPT. And I think, are you guys using 4.0, 3.0? I don't think we're at 4.5 or 5 yet within the STS framework, but Francis is working on the connectivity to the major platforms. You see, consider assumptions, backgrounds, the high level, the key deliverables, the context, of course, objectives, scope, entitled description, and success criteria. That's what I want you to consider. And I want it to be considered by this persona of director of project planning as opposed to one of these other personas. As I'm building a project plan, it seemed appropriate that I'd go to the director of this to basically figure it out. So I'll save. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I think on that point, there's a couple of questions in the board itself that we as a team, you yourself, Charlie, can answer. Really, you just chose and gave a good reason why you chose the planner. But there's a couple of questions. One of them is like, how do you know, like, say, which LLM to use? Say Perplexity versus Google or Claude, and how do we know which persona, how each persona impacts the output?
All right. So I'm a random walk guy when it comes to this, Ben. I go in there and I guess, and then I see what I got, and then I say, well, what if I change this to a different persona? What if I said, all right, create another list with the same question in it and give it to Perplexity. See if there's anything it comes up with. And eventually I want to synthesize the best of all the personas and the best of all the AI engines. But I didn't do that today. But that is something that I would do because I can do it so quickly. It's a matter of creating another list, copying over the prompt and checking some boxes and hit the return. Francis, tell me if I'm wrong. But I hit it and I say, oh, this is interesting. This time it gave me some reference points out of Perplexity, or this is much better prose out of Claude, or something. And I know eventually we want to get to where we can do graphics out of these. We're not quite there yet. This is a product that's going to continually evolve. But I'd say with the speed of light that AI is evolving, get started today and learn. Because whatever you learn today, it may be surpassed tomorrow by something else that hits the market. We'll learn, we'll adopt it, we'll bring it in as fast as we can. But that way, at least you're on the learning curve. We all know what that learning curve looks like. Sometimes it gets pretty steep. So you want to start as gradual as you can, and then you get up to that learning curve. Because I've heard, and Francis, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, in this AI space, it used to be we had Moore's Law. You know, speed of technology doubled every 90 days or doubled every 90 days. I think it's doubling about now every 2 to 3 days. You know, it's going to be completely different by the end of the month than it is today. So just get on board, start playing with this. It's a great platform because other things that it does, have you ever looked at it and said, you know, I wish I'd have captured that Chat GPT prompt and all of its information. Once you exit, it's gone. If you didn't copy it off, well, this has persistence. It is a persistence database of all these things that you've tried. It's now in the database, and you can go back and say, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to try this again, but you don't have to reinvent the prompt. You've already got the prompt, and that's the nice thing about this, is that it's got that persistence, and it's getting connected to all the leading AI engines or LLMs, if you'd like. And to do it. And one other thing that Pri and I talked about yesterday, we haven't quite gotten there yet, is that copying out like this detailed work breakdown structure into Microsoft Projects task lists. Yeah, just dump it in there. And then as we start filling out some of these other cards with dependencies, resources, schedules, all those types of things, we'll copy those out into the tables. Because I'm a Microsoft project guy. I know I'm a dinosaur. It's okay. But that's the one that I've used for a very long time. And if you've got other tools you want to use, copy out the work, put it in there, figure out how you're going to map it. Maybe Francis will come up with some magic here one of these days where there'll be an interface to all the major project management platforms, and you can say, oh, I'm in Asana, I'm in this, I'm over here, copy this out, publish it into that other tool, and it'll raise it. Today, you just got to copy the list, select all the cards, and then paste them over into the project management tool, and you're off to the races. Again, you can do this within moments because I've already built this out for scope and planning, and I'll do it for all the other elements in project planning over the next number of weeks. And within maybe an hour or two, instead of an applied time of, let's just say, you're applying 8 hours. Nobody in project management works 8 hours. So 3 days, 24 hours, you got 3 of us, so that's 72 applied hours. Instead of 72 applied hours, you may have 2 or 3. And all of a sudden, you've got something that's useful. But to Francis's point earlier on, don't rely wholeheartedly on this. Maybe it's about 80% right. Maybe it's a little more than that. Maybe it's a little less. But would you like to be 80% right in 2 to 3 hours as opposed to maybe you're only 70 or 80% right even after 3 days of 4 people, right? You've got a lot more invested. It's really fast to get an ROI on this if you're using the tool. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I wanted actually to kick it to Francis. Francis, you had your hand up.
Well,
LLM question.
Charlie keeps asking me to answer, and then he continued talking.
Priya asked me if I was on high octane coffee today. I guess I am. My baud rate is increased.
So we got the caffeinated Charlie today, which is great. So a couple of things. So anytime you basically, if you just ask a question using that interface to one of the AI assistant, the question today goes to ChatGPT 4.1. Ben, can you click on that? Actually, that's Charlie. Can you click on the where it says certainly? Here's the detail, R key, the bottom of your screen to. Yeah, just click on the card. Yeah, that one. Click on it. Click on it. Then click on the card in the text below.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep.
right there. Click on it. Yes. Now click on card details.
Top left of the toolbar, Charlie.
Yep.
Yep. I knew that. I just forgot, Priya.
I know. That's why I said it quickly.
All right. So you see that one came from ChatGPT 4.1.
Okay.
Right. So you get you know the source, and that's one of the important part of our value proposition is that we don't like to hide things or keep things secretive or anything like that. You can if you scroll a little bit, I think you can click on done or close.
Yep.
The other thing also is that if you want to ask the same questions but want to have the answer from either Claude or Perplexity or just do a Google search, you just start the question by Claude space your questions, Perplexity space your questions, Google space your questions, and then we'll do it.
Yep.
So essentially, anytime you start with one of those words, Claude, Perplexity, or Google, it goes to that. And then over time, as you mentioned, we will add many more integrations and facilities. As for the personas themselves, they are actually, I call them meta prompt or system prompts. So it's the kind of result that you get through STS using, let's say, the finance consultant or the director of project planning is the equivalent of doing very advanced prompt engineering. And if you've dabbled into interacting with ChatGPT or other tools. Prompt engineering can be very involved task. It could be like, like if your questions by maybe just a single line, but the prompt that gives you good results might be a full page. And our very own Priya Baines is the one that has created all the prompts behind our agents at this point. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Great.
All right. So I apologize again, Francis, for cutting you off and being.
No. I mean, you were on the roll. I didn't want to interrupt.
I turned on that button in his head.
So really, that's the formal part of my pitch today. We've got some time for Q&A, but Ben or Priya will make these boards and lists available to all of you. Well, you get a STS 42 login. You can get into the webinar folder. This will be placed out there, and you can change the context of this to something that's useful for you and get something. I think it's pretty valuable, but I'd like to hear from you. Do you think this is valuable? Will this help you in project planning so far for scope and work breakdown structure? And as I go through it, I'll work my way through the body of knowledge for predictive projects, and then I will do it for agile projects. But I'm interested in your feedback.
One thing I'd like to maybe volunteer is at the very beginning of when I introduced myself at the beginning, I said that the cognitive work is actually important, and AI can take a lot of the load of your shoulder, but then where's the benefit, and what's the balance that you should strive for? So with STS, what we're trying to do is not replace your thinking, but help you organize it so that the AI does the mechanical part. And by mechanical, I mean, yes, it's clearly an artificial intelligence, and it can do like well-structured phrases that take into context all that you provide to it. But like this is essentially what you already know, and then it can trigger ideas for you to decide. So this is good, this is not good. Let me like maybe refine my context, things like that. So actually, this is I think the best way of using AI in today's world is you use AI to go faster over things that needs that where time delay does not create value, so that you can focus on the actual content, the things that are actually important and do create value.
And I'll just use one of my bylines, Francis: faster, cheaper, better.
Yes.
Yes.
That's my mantra. Faster, cheaper.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
When you pulled up the card and you saw that the content was derived from ChatGPT, there are many AIs out there where it will actually give you the source then as well. So and I can't remember who it is.
Perplexity gives you the
Perplexity does it, right?
Yeah, it does that.
Are you is that additional information going to be able to be pulled into your card to provide some additional guts?
Yeah, I think Francis started to address it. It's basically up here in the prompt. You just put perplexity in quotes at the front end of the prompt, and all of a sudden it goes to perplexity and it gets that answer, and you'll see a little squiggle mark, little we'll call it networking infinity symbol at the end, and you can hit that and it'll take you right to the source.
Okay. And will it record it like was on that card? Will it also record it?
Well, it's going to be in there forever, because that's one of the value of STS. This is perpetual forever, unless you decide to delete a card, delete a frame, delete a board. It's there.
Okay.
So the info about the card that we went to, it would tell you that card came from Perplexity, but then the card itself would tell you that the idea, the content, actually came from, let's say,
like these
Harvard Business Review, and here's a link to the article.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like right now, I copy paste it,
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right now I'm in there and I'm keeping a separate document for all the
Yeah.
resources.
Well, the other thing, Katie, is that once you get the article brought up, you can attach that article right into your board.
Oh, nice.
So you not only get the link, but you can get the actual document pushed into the board. Now, what I think Francis is also working on is taking all the content of a lot of external source documents. It could be documents, could be PowerPoints, it could be previous projects, it could be Word documents, Power, or whatever, and bringing all that stuff into STS for consideration. So that's just another ability that this platform is going to provide to you very, very soon.
Okay.
I'll let Francis define very soon.
It's soon.
Other questions and comments on this approach? Can you see that it might save you tons of time, recognizing that it's an educated assistant to you, not a replacement for your brains and your ability to manage projects in the context that you're providing your expertise?
John.
Yeah. So one of the big things that I just noticed here is actually the difference between the chat here in Zoom and the chat in STS. And I'm going to call this an advantage just because it's anonymous. So, if you're in a meeting, and you've got the boss and the boss's boss there and your whole team, and people are throwing out ideas, then one of the interesting things is that everyone's ideas are equal, and there's no bias from
Right.
a comment that came from the boss's boss compared to, everyone else. And people
Right.
can just focus on the ideas and not
Right.
have that, extra baggage of where did that idea come from?
Politics. Yeah. And they're all captured, right? Because everybody has an interactive, real-time access to these lists of ideas. They're all real-time.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
Great, thank you, Sean. The other questions about like maybe specifically on the charter or the scope that Charlie was taking us to, but to other use cases. Like we could open this up too to have a conversation about maybe your project management if you have other frameworks that you use, or if there's other workflows that you yourself have for your day in and day out business operations. This would be a great time to talk about some of those specific use cases, and we can explore those as well.
I'm going to add a little element to the project charter that Charlie was explaining as well. So one of the things that often occurs in organizations is that you have a particular workflow, but then you have a particular use case of that workflow and you want to adjust things. So STS enables you to add a step, remove a step, refine a step. And so you can have the main process that you use, and then each individual in your company or organization is able to customize that for their needs as well. So it allows you that level of flexibility that a lot of other tools can be a lot more cumbersome to achieve that with.
Yeah, maybe we should show folks how they can do that. Do you have a copy of that board, Priya?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just to double click on that, I guess. So the ability to change it, to edit it towards your particular workflow is, I think, a great advantage here.
1 second, let me pull up the right board. There we go. So there's just a few things that you are able to do. So you can turn a board into a template. So what Charlie has shared, the work breakdown structure board, we will give you a template that you can test with your own content after the webinar. So you can put in this first column, the project context, you can add your own project context to this, and then you can run all of these prompts. So essentially running a prompt is clicking in the gray box and hitting enter. That's all you need to do. And then it'll do the work for you. Now, if you came to a scenario where you wanted to change one of the steps, you could edit the prompt in this section. So you could do whatever you want to change the prompt in the section, in this gray section here. And then let's say you wanted to add another step. I can add a list to the right here. So now I've added a list. I can turn this list into an AI. So just so you see what I did again, if you click on a list, you add a list, you click on the list, you go to the top right where it says more actions, and then you click on configure list, and then you can turn that list into a blank list or an AI. So now I've turned it into an AI, and then I can add my own prompt in this section. I can choose my own persona through this drop-down menu, and now I have my own customized step and assistant working through the process. So somebody had asked a question about what if we want to apply this to our own business and our own context. You can add your own business context to any list in this tool and then select the title of that list from these boxes, and then you put a perspective on that list. And now you've sort of essentially, if you have your own approach to business, and then you add a perspective to your own approach to business. So technology, strategy, fundraising, whatever the case may be, you add that perspective to your own business context, and then you're able to customize that for your own needs.
One of the early application of that that we tried, well, and back to Sean's question. Sean, I think I just left, but I wanted to find a use case where it was like crystal clear the difference between the two personas. So I describe a small business, and then I said I configured one AI as responsible for sales and another AI responsible for finances, and I asked them both the same question, and obviously, as you might have as you might expect, if you ask actual people that have that type of responsibility and background, the salesperson came up with new ideas to increase revenues, while the finance person was more interested in efficient use of capital, cash, like how to preserve cash and things like that. So same question, same context, but the perspective, like look at this context from the perspective of a financial officer versus the perspective of a revenue officer, and then you get the different perspectives. I'm sure we can do the same with legal, with product management, project planning, etc.
I'm going to essentially, this is very poor context, but I'll just say we're a startup AI business help us increase revenue. And then you can see what this would look like from the perspective of the finance officer. We'll run it quickly.
I think another topic that we could pick up some other day, because it's beyond projects, it's organizational responsibilities in these organizations, is that you could start to define some of their accountabilities based on these personas as you put in the context what we're trying to accomplish as a business. And it takes it from the strategic to the role responsibility level for execution.
Definitely add that in the future. So I'll just so to finish off Francis's thought as well. So I've run this with a finance officer now, and so now it's talking about identifying and prioritizing high margin products and services. It's talking about pricing strategy and expanding GTM channels. So that's the finance perspective. Now I'm going to switch this, and I'll do this through sales. I'm not changing the prompt or anything. I'm just going to hit run. So now it's talking about focusing on high value clients, upselling and cross-selling. So I didn't change anything. In the prompt, I just changed the persona. So as you can see how many different perspectives you could get on a single question in seconds.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So there's a good question in the board. If we have some specific ideas for a persona useful for our own business, how would we go about creating one? Francis, you want to pick that up?
Yes. So this week, you ask one of us, and we'll help you through that. But the ability to create your own persona so that you can have the like a tinker with the what I call the meta prompt or the system prompt to make it your own and work exactly the way you want is going to be a premium feature that will be available very soon, to go back to Charlie's schedule. But
Whatever that means.
if you want to get started faster, ping me offline, and we'll talk about how to make it happen.
Great. Any follow-up question on that or related?
I do have a question, so I'm going to ask Charlie. What does it take for a tool like this to be acknowledged or recognized by PMI? I don't know if you're able to answer that question.
Well, it's a complicated answer in that they've got their own AI platform. So I'm not sure they would recognize other platforms when they probably have invested millions in the platform that they have built. It's called Infinity.
Do you know who worked on Infinity, or who was responsible for that project?
All I know is authored, and the intellectual capital product is owned by PMI headquarters. And they only have like 17 million of us across the globe that send them money.
Do you have any experience with that?
I do not. Some of my colleagues do, because I've been dedicated to making STS 42.
It would be
call
interesting.
Burn jet fuel.
It would be interesting to know how they compare.
I could do that.
Run a comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, because my login there gets me to Infinity.
Yeah.
Understanding around Infinity, I've looked at it a little bit, and it operates a little bit like ChatGPT with a custom PMI knowledge base. So it's more of a, a chat interface. This is more about constructing and planning collaboratively, planning projects collaboratively.
The other thing that I've noticed from others that have been in it, it only gives you the PMI endorsed answers.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's other answers from around the globe and different perspectives, it does not share anything that's not endorsed by PMI.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a very significant limitation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think this is actually interesting. Like, I think if I understand properly, I think what they did is they put their a structured version of the project management body of knowledge, the PMBOK, and they used it to um, supercharge an LLM, large language model, an AI. And so essentially they turned the book into a chat, right? Which is great. Now the nice thing about STS is that STS is AI agnostic, and so it will be just as easy for STS to connect with that Infinity as it is to connect with Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT. And so you could ask questions of Infinity. Let's say you are a licensed user of Infinity, of Infinity, then maybe there is a way that we can create an opportunity for people like Charlie to use Infinity in the context of actually planning a project using STS to use that knowledge from Infinity and turn it into actionable plans.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You have to be a legal login Like mine's 55720. So that's my number, and I can get into all the
And
essence.
can you repeat your password? I
No,
didn't type it.
I'm not giving you a password. I'm just giving you the login credential. You have to
And
guess that. But the
and
other thing they did is they also acquired an agile company recently, and so they got all that body of knowledge brought in because they were trying to invent their own, and it wasn't going so well. And so they went out and bought a company, that the Agile Alliance. And some of those in the Agile community didn't quite like that because they like to think of themselves as standalone and better. But that's what happened in that for PMI. So
right.
Welcome
it
to the
had
wonderful world
challenges.
of business. Yeah.
Pardon me? Go ahead, Dave.
Welcome to the wonderful world of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All
Well, I
right.
think this is a good time to wrap this. So for everybody watching on YouTube, be sure to watch our other videos. We have plenty of webinars leading up to this point, including Charlie's excellent run through the project charters, where you also will gain access to those boards too when you watch that. And then upcoming, we have other use cases. So we've been talking about, we've been approached a lot about those that are actually looking for work, or actually those that are trying to hire. So we might be covering one of these in an upcoming webinar. We'd love to hear from you in terms of the use cases, different ways that you'd like to see STS being used or explored. You have a team of experts that we have here that we'll bring onto their calls in order to build those out for you and walk you through the process itself. So we'd love to hear from you. So stay tuned. Lots of great developments coming, as Charlie has promised for Francis. So we're looking forward to those. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Ben.
Great work.